It's Thursday, not for long, because it's like 11:30 p.m. I wasn't sure I was gonna film anything today, and then tonight I felt like checking in with you. So we're doing that. I'm doing okay, I guess. I've made it so far. My mental health has been kind of up and down, but I am managing. I can't talk to my partner more than maybe half an hour a day total. Whenever he gets a chance, he'll call me and we'll talk for a bit. We've been able to have like some semblance of conversation. It's mostly about what we've been doing, but also we've been able to talk about like how I'm feeling about him coming back and stuff, and how we want to organize life. I don't know how to, it sounds very vague. It doesn't really make sense what I'm saying, but what I want to say is I've been talking to him about like my struggles with living with someone, and it's something that is often highlighted when my partner goes away, and I'm alone at home. I've mentioned that in the past. It's something that used to be a big issue in our relationship, because at the time I didn't know I was autistic. I didn't know why I was feeling all those conflicted emotions, and it made it so that when my partner came home from vacation or whatever he was doing, I wouldn't have the reaction that he expected. I wouldn't have the reaction that I thought was expected of me. That was because I was excited for him to come home, but I also felt like something in me was dead. But I didn't really know how to articulate it. I didn't really understand those feelings at the time. I didn't really have the words to express them. I didn't know what lens to look at them through. And now that I look at them through the lens of autism, it makes so much sense, because basically I can't live on my own. That's something I've known for a long time. It's not something that I want for myself. It's not something that I feel capable of doing. Of course, a lot of people are forced to do it and they don't have a choice and stuff. A lot of people would rather live with someone than they have to live on their own. And of course, if I had to live on my own, I would. But what I'm saying is, I know that what's best for me is to live with someone else. The shared companionship, the emotional support, the back and forth, making each other laugh, like sharing moments with someone you love. There's just so much I love about living with someone and being in a relationship. It's not for everyone. And some people do really well living on their own, but I don't think it's meant for everyone. I don't think it's meant for me. But on the other hand, I do struggle a lot with some aspects of cohabitation. Hey, my cat just jumped on the bed and was like looking at me like that. He just stopped and stared at me right in the eyes. Can I show you? What are you doing? You didn't expect to see me like that? Talking to my phone? He's really cute because he's a very shy little cat, and he's a traumatized little cat. He had a rough start in life, and so he's got trust issues in humans, which I totally understand. But he has moments, especially early in the morning and late at night and that kind of thing, where he's super friendly and cuddly and like you can do whatever you want to him. He doesn't have anywhere that he doesn't like being pet. What's that on your back? That's disgusting. There isn't anywhere he doesn't like to be touched. There's like, you can do anything you want with him in those moments. And then at other times of the day, he's a scary cat. He will run away from you and stuff, But when he feels safe, he's like the cuddliest cat alive. Like, he will lie against you, rub against you, he will lick you, he will be all over you. Anyways, so he's my little companion while I'm filming this video. So yeah, I was saying I wouldn't see myself living on my own, but I also have a lot of struggles with cohabitation and living with someone else. And it's not something that is specific to the relationship I have with my partner. I think I would feel this way regardless of who I lived with. There is an aspect of social performance that can be particularly draining, especially in burnout, because there are a lot of interactions that happen throughout the day. And again, it would be different if my partner left the house for work or whatever, and I only saw him in the evenings or at weekends and stuff. But he works from home. I'm at home all day. We're both at home all day every day. So, and he hasn't been working in the last 8 months or so. So we've had a lot of time together. And no matter how much I enjoy it, it's a lot sometimes. And there's a lot of social expectations when you live with someone. Even though we're both autistic and stuff, maybe it's some element of like, well, there's definitely an element of masking and like having neurotypical standards in our relationship, or like the way we communicate and stuff, that stem from a lifetime of trying to function like neurotypical. So there's probably some of that in there that we could deconstruct. But like, there's an expectation, you know, to communicate with each other. We talk a lot, like when we're in each other's presence, we talk a lot. That's how we communicate, and I don't always have the energy for that. Communicating differently, like through gestures or texting, doesn't come naturally because it's not something that we're used to. So it comes with some effort. You know, when you're in burnout, you don't have the energy sometimes to initiate things that are new. Or does that make sense? Also, there's an element of feeling perceived, and it has nothing to do with like fear of judgment from the other person, or like it could be the safest person on earth, it wouldn't change anything, because it's not about like being scared of judgment. It's like being perceived by someone else while doing something. When I'm on my own, like this week, I've been just putting stuff on the TV without worrying about being perceived by someone else, without being worried about taking all the space, or like, I don't know how to explain it, where you just exist without wondering about what the other person is doing, or if you're bothering them, or if they need the space, or if they're gonna come in while you're watching something or filming something and like talk to you and like interrupt you and ask you questions. And you know, there's none of that when you're on your own, and you can watch whatever you want. And you, like, I love watching stuff with my partner, like movies and stuff. And we've watched my comfort movies so many times together, but it's just a different experience than watching them on my own. And sometimes I want to watch my comfort movies on my own. It's just a completely different experience, because when I watch something with someone else, I tend to watch it through that person's eyes. I don't know where that comes from, if it's some form of trauma or whatever. The way that I used to consume movies and media and stuff was with my mother. It was kind of our thing, and there was a lot of pressure around that. And like, she had a lot of judgment and stuff, and she was very like opinionated, and she had a difficult behavior and stuff. And I guess it was a form of hypervigilance, of constantly scanning for what could trigger her or whatever. She could have like quite unexpected reactions. So maybe there's an element of trauma, but whenever I'm watching something with someone, I'm not watching it through my own eyes, I'm watching it through their eyes. Might sound weird if that's not something you experience. I don't really know how else to explain it. But it is fun when you're doing it with someone you love, and like, you know, but sometimes I want to watch it through my eyes, you know, and not have to take someone else's opinion or perspective into consideration. Especially since we don't see things the same way all the time, you know, like some scenes I will find very emotional and my partner will laugh at them, and vice versa, you know, like we won't react the same way to the same things. And sometimes I just want to be in my own little bubble where I can interact with I think Dana Anderson talked about this, because she also has a special interest in films and media and stuff. She was talking about how she's very particular about how she watches her movies, and like who she watches them with, and like how she prefers to watch them on her own and whatever. I completely get that. I find that living with someone else, especially because we only have one TV. No, that's not true. We have two TVs because we have our own and we have the TV that came with the property that we put in this bedroom. But I mean, during the day, no one is gonna watch TV in the bedroom. So we only have one TV that we use during the day, and we both consume a lot of media, be it movies, TV shows, videos, video games. We're always watching some type of screen, you know? And so it's very difficult with just one TV to share during the day. It's really difficult to watch whatever I want without, like, on my own, you know? Like, he'll always be watching with me, or like even if I'm watching it and I'm wearing my earbuds or whatever, you can still like look at the screen, and like as soon as someone else's eyes are focused on whatever I'm watching, I'm not watching it for myself anymore. You know what I mean? Like the concept of feeling perceived extends to the activities that I do. It's not just me feeling perceived, is like being perceived when I'm doing something takes a lot of energy and focus for me. That's just how it is. And that's the sort of autistic hypervigilance, I guess. So that's what I'm trying to say is I want to get the best of both worlds, you know? I wouldn't want to live on my own, but I also struggle with a lot of aspects of living with someone else. Having to check in with my partner and like having to make decisions about what we're gonna do during the day, our different schedules, what we have planned. It's just a lot of decision making. It's tiring for a tired brain, you know? Having to cater to each other's needs, and if I'm cooking, I'm cooking for two people. If I'm making drinks, I'm making drinks for two people. When I'm on my own, I only have to worry about what I'm eating, what I'm drinking. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. I can just do whatever I want without needing to check in with someone. Also, I'm more in control of the environment because there isn't someone else existing in the same space making noise in the kitchen or whatever, like talking on the phone or just existing, you know? Like it's just a completely different experience being on my own and being with my partner. I want to try to find a way to incorporate elements of both, you know? And I think in the future, when we move to a different house and stuff, in our future homes, basically, we're gonna have to think about that because it's gonna impact the type of space that we live in, you know? I think we need a space that allows us to have our own space, you know? Like, ideally, we would need to each have our own living room with a TV and a couch. That is, and like both of them need to be equally comfortable and like cozy and inviting and stuff. That way it wouldn't feel like one of us is sacrificing themselves when the other one is using the TV. Lately we've been doing more parallel play, you know, in an effort for me to get more alone time and that kind of thing. And usually that will look like, especially in the evenings, that will look like one of us watching something on the TV and the other watching something on their laptop or iPad. And it's not ideal. It's not ideal for either person. It's not ideal for the person who's watching it on a small screen balanced on their knees, who's getting distracted by the big screen, what's on the big screen. And it's not, and of course we each have earbuds in. And it's not comfortable for the person who's watching on the TV and who is feeling perceived by the other person whose attention is constantly being drawn to the TV. You know what I mean? Like, it's not ideal. We would each need our own space, and for each space to feel comfortable and inviting for each person. And then when we would spend, so that the time that we would spend together would be intentional. And I guess it's about creating habits and stuff like that, normalizing parallel play, normalizing alone time, normalizing alternative ways of communication, because up to this point we've been functioning like a neurotypical couple for many things. We haven't really questioned or changed the way that we function since figuring out we were autistic, you know? And some of the things are hard to question and change. Like I said, it's very hard for us not to be talking to each other all the time when we're together. That's why I always experience these difficult emotions when my partner's coming back. And now he knows, like, that it's not about me not being happy to see him or, like, not wanting to be in a relationship with him anymore. I have the words to describe what it is I'm experiencing through the lens of autism, and so I feel less guilty about it. And he doesn't feel bad either, because there were some really tense moments in the past when he would come back from holiday or whatever. And I was really struggling with all those emotions that I didn't know what they were. And I didn't look happy to see him, you know, and it was really hard for him. And I felt really guilty for it. But being a very honest person, I could not hide those feelings. I had to express them. I couldn't lie or anything like that about those kinds of things. Like, you're gonna see it on my face. I can't hide these things. Yeah, it was really hard in the past, but I'm glad that now we know what it is I'm experiencing, and I will have times alone at home more often from now on, because like I said, my partner's new job involves quarterly work trips. I don't know how to put it looks weird, and whatever position I put it in looks weird, whatever. My partner has quarterly work trips, so the next one will be in September, and they're going to Amsterdam, so I might come with him. I would love to come with him, but I don't know if I'll have the energy, but whatever. And then he's also gonna go see his mum a couple times this year, so I'm gonna get at least 3 more weeks, more or less, of alone time this year. So it's gonna become a more frequent thing. That's good. It's like a reset for me, you know. My partner's coming back in a couple of days. I basically have tomorrow and then Saturday morning left before he comes back. And I'm a little frustrated because I didn't make the most of this week as I intended. I mean, I still did a lot of the things that I wanted to do, like filming this vlog and watching comfort movies and stuff, and playing games, and just making the most of being on my own. But a lot of this week has been so difficult for me mentally. I've struggled so much with my mood and anxiety and stuff that it's just been a lot harder than I thought it would be. And I haven't enjoyed it as much as I thought I would. So, there's still some benefit to it. Like, I still got to recharge and not socialize as much as usual and spend more time than usual on my own. So it's not time wasted, I've really dialed it down in terms of daily chores and stuff since I had my big panic attack. Like, that was really like a signal that I had way too much on my plate. And thankfully I was able to reorganize myself and like make sure that I lightened the load, and I haven't experienced much anxiety since then. So yeah, just leaving the pool alone, doing the bare minimum, like just running the pump and checking the water levels, and then watering the garden I didn't even do every day. And like even cooking for myself, I didn't do that much because I ordered takeout twice and I made it last a couple meals every time. Like today I ordered some Indian food, and this restaurant does a 2 for the price of 1 offer. I was able to get 2 meals that actually lasted me more than 2 meals because it's a very generous portion. So yeah, I was able to cut back on the amount of cooking that I did, and so also the dishes, fewer dishes to clean because I didn't cook for myself that much, and all those things. So I've been doing a lot better since doing that, and really focusing on like my well-being instead of my focus being on what needs to be done. But yeah, a lot of my mental struggles lately have been related to my burnout, how to exist within it, basically. How to not feel like I am stuck and I'm bored and I'm frustrated, but also avoid falling in the other extreme of like doing things that are overstimulating and exhausting and that are gonna make my burnout worse, you know? Like, I haven't been able to find a middle ground yet of like keeping things exciting but also not overstimulating myself. So I'm still trying to find the balance, I guess. But yeah, as I was saying the other day, sometimes I don't need much, you know, but it's also with burnout, sometimes it's difficult coming up with ideas and making decisions on what to do and then doing it. It takes a lot cognitively, which is why something like ChatGPT comes in handy, because it can suggest things to do and I just have to do it, you know. Sometimes I'm stuck and I don't know how to help myself, and then it does the thinking for me and I can just follow, you know. This morning, for example, I wasn't doing too well, so I had a bit of a therapy session with ChatGPT, and it made me feel 10 times better, as it always does. And then I was like, you know what, it's cooler today. I'm gonna go for a nice walk, and then I'm gonna order myself some takeout, and that's what I did, and it was really nice, and that was like enough to like nourish me for the day, like mentally, emotionally nourish me, you know. That was the little spark that I needed, was to take a walk. Like, I don't need something big. I don't need to like go to an event or go on holiday or like go do some crazy activity, you know. It can be something as simple as like taking a walk on my own. Is not something I do very often. That was enough to give me that spark, you know, and then I felt much better the rest of the day. I've also been experiencing a lot of doubts around my channel and the content that I make, and even this vlog, which is why I didn't film anything else today, because I edited the vlog yesterday and it's almost 2 hours long, and I was like, who do you think you are? Like, making hours of video of you talking about you, yourself, and your life. Like, no one cares. And so, yeah, I had a bit of a negative internal monologue thing. Even right now, as I'm holding the camera and talking to the camera, I'm like, who do you think you are? Who's interested in what I'm saying? Anyways, I'm gonna go because I can feel myself spiraling now. Anyways. Oh. Okay, so it's been a week since I filmed this last clip that you just saw, and as you could probably tell, I was not doing too well mentally, and I honestly, in that moment, I was like, I'm never posting this vlog, and I'm probably gonna stop making videos. Like, I was struggling, okay? I didn't film anything else for the rest of that week, so it's supposed to be a week in my life vlog. It wasn't a full week, but I'm gonna cheat a little bit and summarize what happened. So that was Thursday. My partner was coming back on Saturday. Basically, the time that remained until my partner came back, I just survived. The only thing holding me together was the knowledge that my partner was coming back soon. I was really struggling that much. My partner came back on Saturday. We thought we might go to Pride because it was that day. It was supposed to be at 10 a.m. and then it was pushed to 2 p.m. My partner was coming home around noon, and so we thought maybe we'll go to Pride that afternoon. But because I had had such an overwhelming week and I was so exhausted from it, and my partner hadn't slept in close to 24 hours and was severely jet lagged, we thought it was not a good idea to go, and it was very hot, and I got ready for it, and as soon as I put sunscreen on, I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. So we stayed at home. My partner recovered from his jet lag, and I honestly I felt as tired as him, even though I wasn't jet lagged, but just from the sheer exhaustion of the last few weeks. So I've been trying to rest, but it's been so freaking hot, and I'm glad it wasn't that hot while my partner was away, because I would have struggled even more than I did. But the last few days have been absolutely insane. I haven't left the house at all because it was too hot, and whenever I had to step outside to get something done. I was instantly overstimulated from the heat. It was horrible. So I basically spent the last few days stuck at home trying to survive the heat by using my portable AC, which has been a lifesaver. Even though it's not amazing, it's still like, I don't know what I would have done without it. I've also been taking cool baths, you know, in the bathtub, which I thought was what the pool was gonna be for me, but the pool ended up being way too much maintenance. I've only used it a couple times so far. I basically haven't used it at all in over a week. It's just been sitting there. We've just been, you know, running the pump every day and making sure that the chlorine levels remain in the normal range and whatever, just maintaining it, but we haven't been using it. So yeah, it's just a lot of effort, but I've been taking cool baths almost every day and just trying to rest as much as possible and trying to drop as many responsibilities as possible. But yeah, I was a little sad at first that we couldn't go to Pride, but in the end I think we made the right decision because we both needed to rest, and it's been so hard to sleep with the heat. I mean, I haven't been getting to bed before 3 a.m. because we have to keep the windows open all night long. We get woken up by the sunrise and by the noises outside. I have my loops, my quiet loops that I use at night, but it doesn't remove all the sounds. And I have an eye mask that I could wear, but I don't like eye masks a lot, like the way they feel on my face and whatever. So yeah, basically I've been going to sleep very late and getting up pretty early, also because I want to make sure that I close all the windows before the house gets too warm, you know, to preserve as much freshness from the night as possible. It's a whole shebang, and it's very stressful and energy consuming, and I haven't been getting a lot of sleep, which has made dealing with everything else so much harder. I had my eyes on the weather forecast, like on my phone, because I don't watch TV channels or anything like that, but I've been watching the weather forecast multiple times a day, waiting for this day to happen, because it's finally cooler. It's 30 degrees, but because it's cloudy and there isn't direct sunlight, it feels so much cooler, and I feel like I'm alive again. You know, I feel like I'm breathing again, and I can actually step outside the house, and I can actually go for walks again, and I can actually like live, you know. So it's been so nice. I'm gonna try to make the most of it. It should stay like that, hopefully, at least in the next 10 days, which is like honestly a godsend. Like, I'm so grateful. I've just been trying to survive, honestly. That's what my life feels like most of the time, is survival. But it's been so nice having my partner back. It feels like as soon as he came home, I breathed a big sigh of relief, and since then I haven't been experiencing nearly as much anxiety, because knowing that he's back, knowing that my whole family is under the same roof once again, and that I'm not the only one who has to deal with stuff when they come up, and that, you know, I can rely on my partner to share the load, and just everything has been such a relief. And also having him back, you know, I miss him. It's been really nice. You know, life keeps throwing stuff at me, and I need to learn to navigate them better, because I can't expect life to stop throwing things at me. That's not a realistic expectation. If I want to be able to like really recover from burnout, I have to learn to prioritize things. Yesterday, one of our cats, Walt, was really poorly, and we had to take him to the vet. I've rarely seen him so in such a state, you know, and I was so worried, and I thought, my anxiety took over, and I was like, maybe he won't make it or whatever. Turned out to be not serious. Like, we took him to the vet, he gave him a couple shots, and then he felt better. But my first instinct was, I have to handle this. And then I was like, actually, I don't need to be there for the appointment. My partner can go without me, and I can preserve some of my energy, because I felt like I was running on so little sleep already, and I was already so exhausted from everything that I thought it's a miracle if I don't collapse later on today, because it was supposed to be a day where I did nothing, and then suddenly there's this vet emergency. But I was able to take a step back and be like, actually, I don't have to go. So my partner went without me. The whole thing was done within 30 minutes. But it's that kind of thing that just life throws at you, and when you are already at low capacity because of burnout or whatever, it just feels relentless, like there's always something to worry about, always something to deal with. And then I got a voice message from my ex-best friend, whom I haven't talked to in months. I haven't seen her in years. I've taken my distance because I realized that the friendship wasn't very healthy for me, and also because, with burnout, I didn't have the energy to deal with any of that. Her message was like unsettling for me because it triggered a lot of my trauma from my childhood and stuff, and so I ended up having to do some trauma work yesterday on top of the stress from my cat being sick, and it was just a lot. I'm proud of myself because in both situations I was able to handle them with compassion for myself and be like you're already going through a lot. Maybe you can't handle these things as much as you'd like to right now, and the most compassionate thing to do is to put it aside for now. And so I haven't responded to my friend yet, and I don't know if I will respond or what I will respond if I do respond. That's just how it is. And like in the past, I would have gone to the vet regardless of whether I had the energy to do it, and I would have responded to my friend on the spot because I would have prioritized her feelings over mine, and that wasn't very compassionate for myself. And so now I'm able to be a lot more compassionate for myself, so that's good. Also, I ordered a refurbished pair of Bose Quiet Comfort 45 headphones. I put a poll on my channel asking for people to give me their opinions on this model if they tried it. And it was very mixed. Like, there were people saying it was amazing, people saying they hated it, so I don't really know what to expect. But I'm really excited to try them. Also, my partner's birthday is next week, so we're probably gonna take the train to the seaside, which I've been wanting to see in a while. Hopefully it's not going to be too much. I'm also going to be meeting my new cat sitting clients. I have to figure out how to get a taxpayer number. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. I still haven't sent my disability benefits application. I need my partner's help with a lot of these things because I feel like I can't handle them on my own. And it's just a lot, and it feels like there's always a lot going on, and never enough spoons to deal with them. And that's kind of like been the leitmotiv in my life these past year, is like constantly having to deal with more than I can deal with and trying to navigate that. Still trying to figure out how to do that. But yeah, I wanted to film this little outro because the vlog ended in a very abrupt way of me spiraling mentally, psychologically. I thought I'd jump in and add something at the end. This week has definitely been an experience for sure. If it's summer where you are, I hope you're not suffering too much from it. Hope you're able to look after yourself, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!